Welcome to SPS Extra, where we talk about all the latest in Spokane Public Schools athletics and activities. I'm Taylor Brooks.
And I'm Stephanie Splater.
And we are pumping up the brand new stadium, ONE Spokane Stadium downtown. It will be opening in about a month. And a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, mainly for the construction workers probably, have gone into the stadium. But this is an incredible project that has been a long time coming. So sorry, Joe Albi Stadium. That is now not even existent.
It's a new era.
It is.
Stadium was so awesome. I mean,
it was iconic in its own way.
There.
Yeah.
My brother played there. My dad coached there.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really cool place. And there were awesome nights. There was WSU football games there, Eastern football games there, all those concerts that are really memorable that people have talked about. It was also something that's interesting. I know there's been a lot of discussion about where the new stadium's located.
Right.
We're in a different time, folks.
We are.
Driving across town was a different experience 20 years ago than it is now in Spokane, Washington, because more people live here.
So many more people.
More people are connected to the downtown core and the core in general. That's like the central part of town. So it's funny because in my day of driving from our Ferris area to Albi, which right now feels really far.
Oh, yeah.
It was no big deal.
Right.
I mean, that's where I went when I was 17 years old and bounced through the parking lot, paid my $2 because it was $2. There was a period of time, and had my cheerleading uniform on to get ready for the game.
Yeah.
So it's different because there's more traffic. It's different just because of the access. And let's be honest, that was an old stadium.
It was.
And to upgrade it would have been quite a task.
I
know there was a lot of considerations. I was on the early design team.
Right.
Just with the input from school district folks. And we looked at that, and that was a viable option, and it's a lot of land. And we know that beautiful Flett Middle School is out there.
Yeah, so beautiful.
We've kind of repurposed in some ways that space. And this new downtown stadium feels just right for right now.
That's such a great and beautiful way to put it, because as we can see, Riverfront Park has just blossomed over the last few years. There's so many great spots. It's kid-friendly. I always hear my friends talk about the playground down there and how great it is. And then you just see cute restaurants and different places just popping up all around this area. And so that'll be nice too. Grab a bite to eat, head to the game, whatever it may be.
We're going to get into a lot of details about the awesomeness of the new stadium with Sean Jordan. And, there's just so many things to look forward to, whether you're a sports fan or not. There's going to be some entertainment options there. Yep. And girls soccer, boys soccer, and then high school football, we know are going to be the featured Spokane school events. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few other things pop up there at the stadium. Band competitions, drill team competitions, some different community events. We know there's some chatter about soccer teams that are going to come in there, and they want to do some youth programming. And so you might see a first grader or second grader playing some soccer in the new stadium. So that would be super cool.
Yeah.
And I think there's just a lot. It's fun to think about all the new possibilities.
Right.
I know we all like to have a plan of exactly what's going to happen, but part of the magic of this is that we don't know quite yet. We do know that our athletes will be in there September 28th.
Yes.
First night at the stadium. So super exciting.
Yeah. I know change is hard. We know change is hard, but when you get inside that stadium and you feel that magic that Stephanie just mentioned, it's all going to make sense.
And I'd say those of you out there that are interested, it's a really cool site right now.
Yeah.
So if you drive by on Boone, Washington, right by the arena, right, down from North Central area, you can see them starting to put in the surface that goes under the turf, which is kind of cool. You can see the press box really developing. I mean, it's gone from just so many things, different phases this summer, and I go there maybe 2 or 3 times a week to go to meetings near there, but I also go there just to see what's happening.
Exactly. There's always something different and
exciting.
new.
And there's something to look at, and if you're going to be a fan there, check out where your seat's going to be, because you have a lot of good options. The visitor side looks awesome.
Yes.
The home side, fantastic. A little covered area if it tends to rain. There's a little spot you can stand underneath. If you've ever been to Eastern Stadium, it kind of has that vibe as far as the big press box that overhangs some of the bleachers. And so there is some of that. And it's just also right there next to the Podium. That's fantastic. If you've
great
ever
building.
watched a track meet at the Podium or seen a volleyball tournament or, I'm just going to date myself, but electronic music concert. I know they have a lot of those things going on there. And then, of course, most of us are familiar with the Spokane Arena. So all of it, all right there and right next to the park. And
not too shabby.
Stay tuned also, folks, for what's going to happen with the marching bands through the park. Well, pep bands they are.
Yeah. But they will be marching through the park, which will be so much fun for their respective games. I know there's still a lot of things in the works, and that's the beauty in this. Like you said, there's still things to be figured out, kinks to kind of go through, but it's all really positive and it's all really exciting. And I don't want you guys to be thinking, oh, the negative parking. It's all figured out and you get to park for free down there. So it'll be fine.
Take the STA bus, school, Rooter bus.
There's a lot of options.
With mom and dad, brother, sister, aunties, all of it.
There's going to be some good food, apparently. Stephanie's been letting on for us to
I've tried not to be a real pesky person with our concessions provider, but I'm going to need to see some more things. But they've got a lot of good things to start with, and I think it's going to be great. They have a huge area for that. So if you stand in line to get a snack at the game, there's lots of space and cool options and everything. And I'm hearing some good prices, and I'm hearing some good just a variety of options. Definitely some pretzels.
Give me a pretzel, some salt, and some cheese. I'm a happy girl.
And the popcorn, TBD, but we all know I'm very obsessed with awesome popcorn.
Big popcorn girl.
Awesome popcorn as well. So I'm sure we'll have some of that too.
Yeah, I love it. And you'll hear from Sean Jordan, someone who has been super involved in this stadium project and a lot of projects, most of our capital projects that Spokane Public Schools is going through. And we'll hear from him next here on SPS Extra. Welcome back to SPS Extra. We have Sean Jordan with us, the Chief Operations Officer at Spokane Public Schools. Sean, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Just so we have some context, we give the listeners the gist. Describe to us your job at SPS.
I would say my job is supporting a number of departments in our district that are really focused on supporting the teaching and learning, the program that we're all about. So I support directors that are overseeing our custodial services, our maintenance and facility services, our capital projects that are building our new stadium and our new middle schools. I also support our safety risk management, our campus safety. I also support athletics and activities. Just because of my background, I support that area as well.
Wow. Just a whole mix of amazing things.
So he's not very busy right now, of course, with all these schools opening and the stadium opening and sports getting started.
Right.
And custodial and maintenance getting schools ready for our kids. So he is very busy right now.
And, you know, and one of the other departments is transportation that I support. And we have a new contractor starting up. And so
Zoom.
I just saw a bus right outside the library here taking some kids across town. I would think that was an express bus going to Finch is what my guess was.
Got it, yes.
But it said Zoom right on the side, and there was a lot of smiling faces, and there was a smiling bus driver also, I noticed. So that's awesome.
We're excited. It's kind of a 21st century student transportation organization, and so we're really excited to be partnered with Zoom. And my role has been really leading some of the partnerships and relationships connected to these different departments. The stadium is a partnership with our public facilities district, and so a lot of my work is in the process of us coming up with our agreements on what that will look like with them operating and managing the stadium and our events taking place there. And with transportation, it's been a partnership with STA because STA, our Spokane Transit Authority, has helped support transporting our high school students, most of our high school students. So my work is really kind of more in that area as opposed to the day-to-day kinds of things, though I'm there to support when there's a challenge or a need with anything that's day-to-day.
We've done some previous episodes about our new middle schools, and what that takes to get programs running and so on. And we've talked a little bit about the buildings and so on. And at one point, how we had more education construction projects going than any other place in the country, and how exciting that is. We've also talked to some middle school kids who are going to those, so that's really exciting. And just can't wait for Peppersack to open in the new Sacagawea. Now, we were just talking about the gym a little bit.
Yes.
The old Sacagawea, everyone mentions that. But this stadium that we're opening is fantastic, and we're just about a month and a week away from opening it.
That's so crazy to think and to say.
It is an exciting time in Spokane Public Schools with these projects, and I drive by the stadium every week. Actually had to detour because they had the road blocked between the stadium and the podium, all because they're putting in the turf. They haven't actually started putting in the green yet, but they're getting all the
it's very flat. It's getting ready for sure.
The infrastructure. And so when that green turf goes in, it's really going to be exciting. But just driving around it and being on the back side of the press box, it's real, and it's so cool.
I'm very excited about the press box, having spent a lot of time up there as a stat person. But the press box is awesome. Like, we toured last week, and it's even bigger and better. And there's going to be so many places there for the media, for the coaches, it just is first class, and it's really neat. And those outdoor spaces next to the press box are really neat for different people to go to if it's not snowing and 47 degrees. But even if it is, it might be a great place to be, frankly, to be in that new stadium. So super excited.
Our community is really fortunate, and Spokane Public Schools, we're really fortunate that our community supported this new stadium and passed the 2018 bond that funded the stadium. So it's going to be exciting for our families, and most certainly it's going to be exciting for our athletes who are going to get to play there.
What are you looking most forward to? Because you're a guy who's been at a lot of stadiums. You were at Albi quite a bit. You've coached. You've been involved with the everyday student experience. You've been an administrator at schools. What are you excited, both as a football fan and also as a Spokane Schools person, to experience in the new stadium?
So many things, Stephanie. That's a big question. I think I'm excited for Spokane Public Schools to have a home stadium that's more intimate. Having coached at Joe Albi, and that was special. There's no doubt about it. And we have many individuals in our community who had that experience of playing and coaching and just attending games there. But it was so large, sometimes you could hear it echoes, right?
Yeah, right.
This is going to be more intimate, and I think it's going to have more of a high school feel, which is so important, I think, for our students to experience that. And it's going to be a new tradition. We're starting. There's so many traditions connected with Joe Albi. You can talk to folks, who grew up in the 60s and 70s and have phenomenal, and 80s, and have phenomenal memories of their experience there. This is going to be a new tradition. And I'll also say, and this was our student voice when we were making a very difficult decision about locating that stadium where Joe Albi was, or downtown where we are building it, and having it be centrally located in our district as opposed to being in one corner of our district, I think is going to also be something to celebrate for our 5 schools that are going to be playing there, and our students that are going to be playing there. So I think that's exciting. I can't wait. I will probably watch games from various points.
For sure.
Yes,
same.
I think you have to.
I experience the press box, but I like to be out in the stadium, and so I'm sure I'll walk around a lot and sit in different areas. And
field level is breathtaking. Like, we came out of the tunnel where one of the teams is going to come out, and just to see it at that level is really exciting. It felt different than Albi. Albi was cool. Like, we all had, we had the moments. That, and then being in the press box or up top where you can see the tops of the trees in all different neighborhoods of Spokane.
Right.
It's not a massive structure. Like you said, it's a big stadium, but it's not a massive structure. I didn't realize how tall it is when you're up top. And it's a Spokane view that's really amazing. And it was really cool to see.
And I think from an athlete's on the field's perspective, it will feel like the fans are way closer.
Right.
Exactly.
The way that it felt in our former Joe Albi Stadium. So, there's an interest to give, even the younger students in our schools a taste of that stadium before they get to the varsity level, just to keep them excited for when they finally do get to the varsity level to have that experience. And I think that's wise on our part to be thinking that way.
It's so fun to talk about, obviously, the athlete experience and the fan experience, but this is a stadium for the entire community of Spokane. If you don't like sports, you don't like whatever, there's going to be so many different things that will happen at the stadium. But I would say come watch our student athletes, because this is just going to be such a different experience for them. We all know, Union Stadium was built up north recently, but the closeness, like you mentioned, the fans are going to feel like they're on top of them. I just can't wait to see the student section filled, because those student sections, there was a lot of kids at them at Joe Albi, but they're so far away. Like, you're reaching up, you couldn't even touch probably a player's hand on the field. And so I think that aspect is just going to be so neat.
We have so many different ways for fans to get to games too. With it being centrally located, there's options. We've got, believe it or not, there is some parking. We also have the STA access with a great partnership that we've had with them. It's 7 minutes from my house, which is really important.
She's already clocked it, guys.
Well, absolutely. But at the same time, it kind of speaks to it being central, because it's 7 minutes from a lot of places.
Right.
And it's really close for not just North Central, but it's pretty accessible for all. So we're really excited for that as well. And might have some buses bringing some kids for some spirit situations. And so that could be exciting as well. So just looking forward to getting people in there.
I think people realize it, but you think and look at the stadium, you're like, football. The first game that's being played there is a soccer game. A high school varsity girls soccer game.
That's awesome.
How iconic is that within itself, to have something like that? And then a football game will be played there that night.
And the Shadle Park girls soccer team, they'll take that moment and they'll be really excited about being the first team there. We've interviewed a lot of Shadle kids on this podcast, and they've got a great mindset and understand what that moment's going to be like.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it worked out perfect, because we were looking at the timing of the stadium being completed to where we could start events in there, and it just landed in that week, where on that Thursday there was a soccer game and a football game.
Yeah,
it just seems so appropriate that's the first day of events, and both a soccer and football game will be played in there. So it definitely is more than just a football stadium.
Right.
And the PFD is very interested in hosting concerts there.
Yeah.
So it'll be multiple uses.
Sean and I are working on the operations team, and some of that goes into game day experience, and some of it's kind of behind the scenes technical pieces. But we did get our first preview of the menu of the concessions. That's fun. We do have some branding that is going to go on at the stadium for the home team to kind of make it feel like a home site. And that's something that you were mentioning earlier, to have a true home site for our teams, both soccer and football. They've been on the road for
ever.
It feels like 10 years,
right.
But it's really been 3 plus COVID.
Right.
And so they're going to have a lot of built-in pride with those. But when the Saxons are playing, you're going to see some scarlet and silver branding that goes on to celebrate Ferris. And so that's as an example. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah. And just some of the things a modern stadium can do. Changing the lights is
that's a big one.
Fantastic. And raising the flag and having some specific things. And so those awesome people that Sean works with on his different teams have been working on those smaller pieces that are going to make a big impact. So it's an exciting time, and the schools and just all the things.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to talk about on this podcast, because we're doing so many cool things, and it's fun to learn about your everyday and all the things that you're working on. Because at the end of the day, everything we do is about the student experience.
Exactly. It's about the kids.
Propelling them forward and building all the things that they want to be involved in. And at the end of the day, also becoming a better student, so they can go off in the world and have jobs like all of ours where we do a million things every day.
You, again, highlight one of, I think, the positives about the new stadium, because Joe Albi was it was at one time shared by all the GSL schools.
Right.
Not just the Spokane schools. And now this is going to be truly, as we've been discussing, Spokane's home field. And so when it's Rogers' game, there'll be lots of purple in that stadium, which is really cool for that for each school.
Speaking of Rogers, I mean, they're a very good team this year, and they are very excited about this season. And I have a feeling the first Rogers game, that first Friday night, we're going to see some exciting football against Shadle.
Yeah.
Also a good team, but I think the Pirates have been waiting quite a while to put a great team into this new stadium.
Yeah, that's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, I've been around a lot of the football team specifically just this summer, and I'm working on a story with Ferris and Lewis and Clark because it's kind of nostalgic because, like you guys mentioned, they've been on the road for 3+ years. Well, they're going to play at Hart Field the first game of the season, and a varsity football game has not been played at Hart Field since
mid-70s.
The 70s?
Like. Yeah.
And so I'm doing a story on that, and I'm just really excited to talk to the kids about how iconic that will be. But then they'll flip the switch and get to play in this beautiful new stadium like 3 weeks after that. How cool to be able to have one kind of last send-off at Hart Field. We love Hart Field, but there's no lights, so that's going to be a little toasty game at 4 p.m. And then in a couple weeks, get this incredible experience of going to the stadium.
That's something you mentioned that just reminded me. Next season, 2024, we will have all our rivalry games there.
Yeah.
And so those will be great moments because we don't necessarily catch them all this year.
Right.
With our stadium opening.
Yeah, we missed some of them. One of them that Taylor's mentioning at the beginning of the season. So those games early in September. But it will be a memorable season.
No matter
as
what.
You're describing for this group of players.
Yeah.
Getting that last game at Hart Field and then the new stadium.
So great to have Sean's perspective on our podcast. He is so intelligent.
And so committed to the experience of Spokane School students.
Right.
It's awesome.
I'm excited for him to experience the stadium as well. You know, you heard him mention he's going to sit in a lot of different spots in a lot of places because that's what that stadium has to offer. You're not going to get the same view at every single spot in that stadium, whether you're high up or closer to the field, on the visitor side, walking along the north side of the stadium,
the concourse,
like the concourse.
Connects the two sides.
You're going to have so many options as to where you want to be and stand and sit, and you can change it up and do all those things. So for him, I think that's going to be really cool for him. And then you can finally sit there, hopefully for him, and take a deep breath.
Looking forward to talking with him after those first couple of experiences to see what he thinks and what he experienced. But so cool to have him on. And I know he's someone that listens to podcasts and is really involved, so he was happy to be here.
And now we have another perspective, which is so important to making this all work, is our district athletic directors. There's a lot of moving parts with this new stadium. You heard Stephanie mention it multiple times. These kids have been on the road for 3+ years, including COVID. They don't have a home field. They haven't had a home field. They're everywhere and anywhere. And we're so lucky to live in an area where it's all kind of worked out. And other schools have been really gracious with dealing with the moving parts of the schedule, but it'll all be worth it with this. And so we're going to talk to Shelly Radke from North Central, and we'll get her thoughts on the stadium. North Central football will be the first football team and game played in the stadium. There's a soccer game before that. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we're going to chat with Shelly Radke. Welcome back to SPS Extra. I'm here at North Central High School with Athletic Director Shelly Radke. Shelly, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we're in this crazy time right now where practices are going on. Kiddos are about to start their first games of the season. What's the energy? What can you just see from these different teams and coaches and players about the excitement to start the fall season?
I think kids are just happy to be back at North Central. You know, I think everybody enjoys the summer, but there is that initial excitement of I get to see my friends again, kind of the routine, the schedule, and they get to play the sports that they love. So there's just some general excitement just to be back at NC.
It's funny you say that, though, because a lot of these kids, some of these kids, they're here during summer, whether that's strength training or agility work or camp or whatever it may be. So some of these kids have been here. I mean, perspective-wise, for people who don't understand what goes into running sports programs, there's really no time off if you really think about it, right?
Yeah, there's a little downtime, but not a lot, because they'll go from spring sports and then they kind of start, like you said, the strength and conditioning, and then they've got summer camps, and we offer most of the summer camps, so there is that continuous piece throughout the summer into the academic year too. So most of our kids continue through that, but we will have a lot of new incoming freshmen. We get some choice transfers in and stuff, so we will have some new kids.
I was going to ask you just about fall sports in general, so take me through it. We've got girls soccer,
football, boys and girls cross country, volleyball, and slow pitch softball. And of course cheer is kind of a part of that as an activity, but they're included with our sports groups as well. So
awesome. What can we expect this year from the Wolfpack? How excited, and what can we say about maybe some of the teams that we're about to see here?
I think our girls soccer team might surprise some people this year.
I actually have heard that.
Yep. Don't tell too many people, though, because we want to keep that on the down low. Right. Stay under the radar. But I think just with the excitement of the new stadium, that I think that right there, everybody's excited to be a part of that.
Absolutely.
And that kind of culture that's going to bring for Spokane and Spokane Public Schools. We're going to be young in some areas, though. Volleyball is going to be young. We lost some of our, all GSL award-winning participants and stuff. So yeah, we're going to be young with some teams, but I think girls soccer is going to surprise some people.
The fun part about being young and having young teams is knowing what the future holds. Like, these kids are freshmen, sophomores, juniors. We love our seniors, of course, as always, but this will be their last season. But to think about the youth, I think that's really special too.
Yeah, the numbers are good, which is awesome. So people, the kids want to participate. Yeah. So we're finding spots for them, and we'll see what happens. So we've got room to grow for sure in some sports.
You mentioned the stadium, and of course football and girls soccer will play there this fall, and then boys soccer in the spring. What is that excitement level to have this thing finally be done?
Well, for North Central, we don't have a home field like a lot of the other schools do. Like, our soccer team plays at Dwight Merkel for all of their home games. They have a majority of their practices there, minus this week because of the AQI. We've been inside, outside, so they've just been using the outfield of the baseball field. But we don't play varsity home football games at North Central. So we're always traveling to U-High or G-Prep, CV, Union. We've pretty much played wherever they'll host us. We're having our week 2 non-league game at Cheney this year, so it'll just be nice to say, hey, this is our home stadium and this is our home field. So for both of those sports.
From the athletic director standpoint, I've heard it from student athletes of this crazy away road warrior knowledge and motto that they've been saying, because that is really, all SPS schools have kind of been road warriors these last couple years. But you just brought up a great point. Like, for example, Ferris football hosted a game last year. Lewis and Clark's hosting at Hartfield, but you guys don't really have that opportunity. So what has this been like?
I'd say it's a challenge, but the kids have faced the adversity, and the coaches pretty well. It's like, hey, we're playing Shadle at U-High. Awesome, we get to play. Yeah. And that's kind of their mentality and their motto. And so it's probably been more difficult for the ADs to kind of find locations to play when, we'll say U-High, for example, when they don't have a home game. Okay, well, they're busy, so then we're looking at somebody else. Oh, they're already hosting another SPS school. So you kind of bounce around between the 5 or 6 options, and we always land at one. So it's just part of the deal. So it'll be weird not to have to do that in the future.
A good weird.
Right, definitely good weird.
You guys are the closest high school to this new stadium, and everyone always says it's like, oh, North Central's going to show out all the time and pack the student section because you guys are so close and kiddos can walk and things like that. I mean, how nice is that you guys are so close in proximity?
That'll be awesome because we don't typically get huge crowds at our games because they're not close, unless it's like at a G Prep or something, which is relatively close. So, I mean, that's all we've been talking about. Can we do some tailgaters in the parking lot, and let's go down with the band and go down with cheer and walk the teams down and just have this huge supporting cast walking behind them. So it's been, especially this week, like the talk of with admin, and can we incorporate leadership. And I think we've worked with the 10th grade, class this week on, hey, what could this be? Is this a fundraiser for you guys? Can you organize, part of this, get this together, and then we all collaborate and work together. And ironically, people are emailing saying, hey, what about this? And somebody else is like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about that idea too. So it's kind of just falling into place. So I hope that happens for some of those home games. But we've got some big ideas. I hope we can fill those shoes.
Well, we know this school has school spirit. I have been here so many times and told amazing stories in this building of family and togetherness, and we obviously see it every single year, especially at Groovy Shoes. How hopeful are you that translates, like you were just saying, to the stadium atmosphere as well?
I think it will. I mean, I think the only deterrent might be weather. So as long as the weather cooperates, I could see kind of that mirror of Groovy Shoes there. And we always preach, we're family first, and it's in the classroom, it's on, the fields and the courts, and that's what we do. That's what we are. It's who we are. And so I think that'll translate down at the stadium as well.
When it comes to the stadium as well, what have you seen? Have you been in there in a while? What are some features of the stadium as an athletic director are you looking forward to?
I'm ready to see the turf go in.
Me
they
too.
they keep saying, hey, the turf's going in, the turf's going in. And I'm not a construction person. I understand there's, processes. Absolutely. And it's going to happen. It makes me, a little nervous when we drive by the field and it's like, oh, there's still dirt. But but everything else is kind of, coming to fruition. So we were there about a week and a half ago. So we went up to the booths area, we went down on the field, we went behind the scenes in the locker rooms. It's going to be an incredible facility for whoever gets the pleasure and privilege of using it.
And you guys will get to host the first football game of the stadium season, is what we can call it, against Clarkston on September 28th, 7 p.m. kickoff. I mean, that is going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, it's a month? It's a month away, which is it is crazy because it's like the summer, it had its slow moments, then it's picked up, and it's like, oh, we're almost here. Yeah. Like the kids are coming back, and here we go. We're off and running. So it's going to be the buzz throughout school, and we're going to be advertising like crazy to make sure that we pack the stands.
It's fun. You mentioned you guys kind of got to go up where the boxes are and things, and where coaches will sit, and scorekeepers and all that good stuff. I don't know if you guys went on either side of like when you're kind of towards the edge, but the view, it's so incredible. There's just so many points of the stadium where the view, you just can't believe you're in a high school stadium.
You think about football in Texas, right? There are legitimately some high schools in Texas because it's like football is king down there, where that's what it looks like. And I don't think there's going to be a bad seat in the house. Yeah. So people are going to come, and regardless of where they sit, they're going to have an amazing view of what's going on.
You might not necessarily be telling your student athletes this or telling coaches this, but if you did have student athletes and coaches sitting in front of you and the stadium's about to open, what would you tell them? What would you tell them about just taking this experience fully in and just being thankful to have something like this? I'm sure those would be some words that you would say.
Oh, for sure. We should be grateful and then just embrace the moment. Yeah. Like we're the first football game. Like go out there and just play football. Exactly. Right? You're putting on a show for your family, for your friends in this amazing stadium, and we're the first football game in there. So just embrace that moment, but be grateful of, this opportunity that we'll have to use this facility. especially since we haven't really had one. So I think they're all going to be extremely excited.
Okay, well, thank you so much. It was so obviously always good talking to you, and we'll be there for all the stadium craziness, and of course, keeping an eye on your fall sports this fall, and good luck this school year. I always want to tell that to the athletic director because we all know that they are very busy. They have a lot going on, especially when they're opening this brand new state-of-the-art facility. So good luck and have so much fun this year.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
A big thanks to Shelly for coming on the podcast. I know everyone is so crazy busy right now, but like we mentioned, the first games that will be played in the stadium will be that Thursday, September 28th, 4 p.m., Shadle Park will take on Pullman in girls soccer. And then after that at 7 p.m., North Central will take on Clarkston in football. And then that Friday night under the lights, I cannot wait. 7 p.m. kickoff, Rogers against Shadle Park.
North side battle. That's so exciting.
That'll be so much fun.
Best 2A teams and really best teams in the area. So that's really exciting. And cool for Shelly to be at North Central just up the street from the stadium. And remember what they did during the Spirit Games? Those Wolfpack show up.
Oh,
they will be at the stadium, and they will make it a big deal for that first night and show Clarkston how cool it is to have a community stadium. So looking forward to that. And I saw those North Central kids out practicing football this week.
Yeah, I think the one thing, everyone's like, for North Central, they always say this with the Spirit Games as well. They show up because they're right there. Okay, well, you choose to show up, though. You don't have to go if you don't want to.
We're not camping out at school and just walking over either. I mean, some people do that, but they want to be there and they're really excited for this.
Exactly.
And so great to open with them for sure.
Yeah, and we always talk about, and we've talked about, how are we going to get kids in the student section? I don't think it's going to be that difficult because of how incredible it'll be and how much fun.
Their fantastic band will be there too for a home game. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so why not? Go. If you're a student listening to this, go cheer on your soccer and your football teams. Get in the student section. Enjoy the stadium. Enjoy the good food. Enjoy the views. And just show school spirit because this is just another way that you're able to show that. And I think that's really cool. September is just a big month. We're going back to school. We're opening 2 new middle schools. The stadium is opening. It's a big month. It's an exciting month. So with that, episode 9 of our SPS Extra podcast, we're going to back to school vibes. We're going to chat with some folks about back to school, how things are going. So yeah.
I agree with Sean. He mentioned earlier that back to school is the best time.
It really is.
I love it. I love back to school. I love to see just the dawn of a new year. I mean, not to be corny, but honestly, it is so exciting.
Yeah.
And the fall in Spokane is always fantastic. There's just an excitement about it. You got your new seniors, experiencing that senior year like we've talked about on previous episodes. Fall sports starting, all the clubs and activities starting, bands getting back together, choirs starting to rehearse, all the things. So excited. Yeah. So fall is so great, and back to school is magical, and just love it. I said that before, but it's kind of the theme of today. So
I think, are you ready for pumpkin spice lattes or what?
Oh my gosh.
That's what vibes you're giving me.
The calendar
right
switches to August 1st, and I know we're still deep in summer and it's full on 100 degrees today, but I started getting a fall vibe a week ago when I saw something. Gosh. And I know that the Starbucks drinks come out on August 28th, so I'm not really too far off.
Yeah, she's fine, everybody.
I'm good with summer heading out and back to school and fall coming back in.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It
will be so much fun. As always, thanks for listening. And remember to follow us at Spokane Schools on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of the good things. And to get all the latest updates, you can watch stories, read blogs at SpokaneSchools.org. We've got you covered there. Have an amazing rest of your summer, and we'll see you in September.